Well, my sister used to read a lot of like wedding blogs. She just like loved that stuff. And there was one where it was like this woman had decided that they were gonna hire, you know how you can get like at a Disney wedding, you can get like Mickey and Minnie to come, but it's really expensive?
Yeah.
They decided they were gonna do that, but as a result, they couldn't afford to like get everyone food. So they told everyone to like, all their guests to eat ahead of time. And then their guests were like confused and hungry at the event, and they were just like, but it said in the invitation to eat ahead of time. And I just think this is like the funniest situation in the world. Like, I think it's your wedding and you can do what you want, but I think that's so funny to just tell your guests like, this is not even a party. Like, we don't even have snacks for you. You're just gonna come here, stand around in fancy clothing, and watch me dance with Mickey Mouse, and then you can go home.
I was just curious because I've seen people get married at Disney and stuff. And I looked at the cost and I was like, holy. But I think weddings in general are like quite expensive. I mean, I think generally people that throw like a wedding party and like do the whole thing, it's like they spend a lot of money on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean like, okay, I know a lot about this because this is like my sister's particular brand of autism. And even if it's not yours, like you just kind of absorb by osmosis. Depending on your venue, depending on your situation, and depending on your location, right? The biggest cost is just gonna be people, right? That's gonna be the biggest thing. DIYing is
like feeding them?
Yeah, or just like having people, right? So the cheapest way that you can have like a decent sized wedding is there are public parks that you can rent out for occasions. A lot of them already have covered areas and tables, which means that you don't have to rent seating. The only thing you have to do is provide food. Now, there are a lot of ways to do this fairly cheaply, right? One of these places can seat about 80, depending on the place, and that's only like $250 for a rental fee, but there are a few problems. One, you probably can't have alcohol there, depending on your state and depending on the park. Two, you need to make sure that everything is cleaned up, and you have to be out of there by the time the park closes so that the rangers can go home. And if you're not, or if you leave anything behind, there are enormous fines. So as long as you can handle those things, you can actually have a pretty cheap wedding in a public park in America. Now, the other thing is that you need to feed people, and feeding people is really expensive. The easiest way to do this is to do something like Chipotle style catering, which I know, Chipotle catering, whatever, say what you want, but you get big trays and people assemble their own meals out of it. And this is probably the cheapest way to do this, but it's still like not cheap per plate, and you still have to grab all of that and like transport it and get your guests to participate in the process. And then you're looking at like, how do you get the sound to work, right?
Yeah, in the park, you mean?
So you're gonna need like expensive wireless speakers,
Equipment.
probably speakers that have their own batteries or a huge battery that you can plug your speakers into. And then you're looking at like, well, what if there's some malfunction? What if there's some problem? What if it rains? If you're renting these, it's much cheaper, but then you risk like massive fees if they get wet or banged around in whatever car you're bringing them to, right? Hire a DJ for a few hundred, or a friend who is a DJ? Not all DJs are gonna be able to do an event with no outlets. And the ones that are probably more than a few hundred. But yeah, no. I would say definitely make your own playlist. You don't need to hire a DJ at all. You can make your own playlist, and you can have, instead of having speeches as like a section of your wedding, you split them up so that each person has a time at which they give their speech, and then they transition to the next part of the wedding. Like maybe your dad gives the speech, and then he's like, and now dinner is served, right? Just elope, who needs the extra BS? I don't know, I feel like people are very cynical about this, but at the same time, for a lot of people, it's like a religious thing or a traditional thing where they want this to happen. I don't know, my sister planned a lot of weddings, and she would talk about me a lot, and it was like kind of sweet hearing about it, right? Like, I like how much she cares about it, but at the same time, at the end of the day, it's like a party, and it happens, it's one day. So, you know, I don't know, it probably won't be the best day of your life. If it is, I think that'd be kind of sad, right?
Yeah. It would be, I'd be sad. I'd be like,
yeah, right?
Like one day and that's it. It's over.
The idea that like, hey, we're making this promise to each other that we're gonna spend our lives together, but we've already peaked. This is as good as it gets. Like, that's so sad. Ugh.
I thought about it too as well, because like I like the idea of like the traditional fancy wedding with everything, all the bells and whistles, but I don't want to spend the money on it, and I don't want to like deal with planning it.
The best thing, get head count down as much as possible. If you're okay using cheap catering like Chipotle style, that's going to bring it down significantly more. If you have people who can help, particularly someone with a truck, that can help even more. Rent your sound equipment, make your playlist yourself, etc.
So when we get married, this is the plan.
When we get married, this is how we're gonna do it, yeah.
Yeah, this is the plan. Good to know. Noted. She wants Chipotle-style catering. Writing notes.
Okay, this is the thing is I do want Chipotle catering. This is just, all of this is just justification for me to get Chipotle at my wedding. Like, that would be so good.
She just wants beans. Chipotle style catering,
beans.
but it's only their beans. And that's it.
Dude, that would be so cheap.
Trays of beans, yeah.
That would be the cheapest way to do it.
You want to get married in the middle of a forest?
I mean, that's quite lovely, and that's where most of these places are gonna be, right? If you're gonna
Yeah. If you
the
do
other
park thing.
option, there are some of these parks that have like grills available, like really big ones, and they're included in your rental fee. But
Hot
then you
dogs
have
time!
Yeah, it's really
Burgers
good.
and hot dogs!
But you're not gonna have time on your own wedding day, which means that you have to have someone who's okay with being in charge of that. You know, you have to have someone who you trust with that responsibility, and who won't be like sad because then they're not in any pictures. You know.
We could see, no, they could be pictures of them grilling.